Hi, and welcome to the locker room. I am one of your hosts, Justin Ham, and I'm excited today. This is a special occasion where we get to have a live in-person interview, and I'm here today with my good friend Artem. And Artem is a member of our FCA team he serves down in the Brooklyn area, and I'm going to interview him today and just hear what he has to say. So before we get into all of that, Artem, why don't you just share a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Justin, for having me. Hi, everyone. So, as you said, I serve FCA staff as a club director, soccer
Mhm.
club director in Brooklyn area. Uh, Brooklyn, I would say it's too big for
Yeah.
our area, so we are in south part, covering several neighborhoods. I'm the founder and CEO of Skills U FC Soccer Club, um, and love Jesus.
I love that. That's so amazing to see. And how long have you been on staff?
So it's it's my second year being on
Okay.
staff with the FCA.
How long have you been involved with Skills U?
So I started Skills U 8 years ago as a supplementary soccer training program, and it eventually grew up to the scale of the soccer club.
I love that so much. So obviously, for those of you listening, you can tell that Artem and I don't sound exactly the same when we talk. So Artem, where's home for you?
Okay, so I was born and raised in Ukraine.
Okay.
So I was born in 1986. It was USSR at that moment.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, that's where my accent from.
Hmm.
So, but I've been living for 10 years in Brooklyn.
That's what I was going to ask, and that was my not so graceful way of just asking where you were from. So I do apologize. But yeah, our Artem is from the Ukraine, and he works in the soccer field. So tell us a little bit about your soccer experience, and then we'll dive into a little bit different stuff.
Yeah, so I played soccer since I remember myself. At the age of 7, I got selected to Olympic soccer school.
Wow.
And at that time, it was all sponsored by the state.
Hmm.
So we had 7 days almost training. All the sport facilities were in our disposal if we need to do acrobatics, swimming, weightlifting later on, and all the pre-season camps and tournaments, even abroad, right, were paid by the state and by the city later. So I played up to 19 years old. Our club for most of the years was playing in highest use league. It
Hmm.
was, but we didn't have a professional men's team behind us.
Sure.
That was the only downside of
Right.
that. But yeah.
So your experience playing wise was at the highest level it could have been then basically, right? In the
Yeah,
Ukraine.
in Ukraine. So a lot of my teammates made to pro
Hmm.
level. Some of them were playing up to U21, the Ukraine international team. Some of them were even captains of those teams, winning European Cups and qualifying to World Cups
Mm.
of their U21, U19 age. So I was on the really close to make to
Hmm.
the professional level. I was on the draft a couple times, even after Ukrainian championship final was. I had a conversation with my age national team coach who said like, "Come for the tryouts," but yeah, I didn't have support behind
Mm.
my back from parents.
Mm.
That's why I didn't make it.
Oh, that's talk a little bit about that. So you had your whole dream probably, right? You started at
Yeah,
7 all the way up to you were 19 and you had the opportunity to go play potentially for
yeah.
the Olympic team and you didn't have that support. So how did that feel?
Yeah, that was really depressing for me. So I now I understand my parents better, but it took me a while and even several years of counseling
Hmm.
to figure out all these emotions behind it. But yeah, I was really disappointed when I started to see my ex-teammates signing contracts and occasionally seeing them playing on TV on Ukrainian
Sure.
television,
Yeah.
and I'm just sitting gaining weight and not playing soccer. So that was really devastating for me.
So when you found yourself losing almost part of that thing that's been the driving force, soccer, 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 and now all of a sudden you're not able to go to where you wanted to get to, and you probably had every right to get there. You were good enough to get there. Things outside of your control didn't work that way. How did you respond to that?
So there were two personalities basically at the same time developing. I was really good in school,
Hmm.
so I was trying to make up the ladder in the society, right? Building the career. So I started like okay, college,
Hmm.
and I was really good student. But all that anger and not lack of satisfaction from
Sure.
my sport, I started to party hard as well during
Hmm.
nighttime, and street life was really intense
Yeah.
for many years in my life.
How long did you find yourself in that situation of, living life hard and street life and all of that?
Yeah, so uh, my relations with parents were so hard that I was counting the days in high school until I finished the high school and I leave the household.
Hmm.
So since my 16,
Hmm.
that's when we finished the high school in Ukraine. I lived most of the time alone,
Hmm.
just visiting my parents occasionally. So up to from 16 to 23 when I got married.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, okay, for 22.
Okay.
But that's when I met Jesus at 22. But for 6 years it was
Yeah.
sometimes it's a roller coaster, but closer to graduation from the college it was downfall
Hmm.
basically.
So I've heard your story, and at some point, I mean, if you haven't heard Artem's story, I mean, hopefully, you could get to do that before, your time on this earth is up as a listener. But Artem, share a little bit about how did you end up meeting Jesus?
Yeah, so as I said, like street life. So I was one person during the daytime, and after that, uh, partying, drinking. So we had a kind of a crew
Hmm.
with our guys, and we intentionally were getting into the street fights.
Hmm.
Uh, it was some light drugs. I was afraid of drugs all the time,
Sure.
but like smoking weed, for
Right,
instance,
right.
it was one of my favorite things to do, and
Sure.
it ended up it could end up like tragically because I was stabbed almost a couple times during those fights, and so my master program, I I entered my master program in the capital of Ukraine, the best university in Ukraine. So my classmates were son of the president,
Wow.
uh, uh,
President of the whole Ukraine?
of the whole Ukraine. So son of head of the parliament, uh, head of police department, and like high officials.
Wow.
And I was expecting at the time that I'm gonna get my diploma and I could get a good job.
Yeah.
And my master was international relations, so I was planning to work in for State Department.
Okay.
Uh, because of corruption, I couldn't get any job,
Hmm.
and at that moment, uh, I was desperately looking for the income source. So I was one step away from entering the gang,
Hmm.
and
So this is the second time now you poured your heart and soul into something.
yeah,
First it was soccer,
yeah,
wasn't able to get to that. Then it was international foreign working for the State Department,
didn't
didn't
work.
work out. So here you are again thinking about joining a gang.
Yeah, and I did enjoy the gang, thanks God. But I moved back with my parents, and my father was really hard on it. He made me work in his garden,
Hmm.
paying me minimum wage and pointing at me like you're such a failure.
Yeah.
So I was I was smashed basically, and I tried to climb up, so I started to work as a distributor of legal alcohol, but it was not enough money, so I started to sell illegal alcohol
Sure.
behind the
Right.
scene.
Right.
Then it turned to a little bit of a distribution of weed
Hmm.
behind this, and I could get big term in jail, honestly, because apparently I was good at selling that stuff, and
Sure.
so. Yeah, and at that moment, like all this time, with I was complaining to God, like, how come you're creator of everything, you are creator of my life, and you
Mm.
made my life so miserable? That was my
Yeah.
conversation to him, and you made this law so I cannot commit suicide.
Mm.
So I was on the edge many times, like I was planning to jump off the rooftop.
Mm.
So yeah, thankfully I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So it was in that moment where you're frustrated, you're asking God, why is this happening? How is this happening to me? And for whatever reason, you knew enough to not, fortunately, jump off that roof. So
yeah.
when did you actually meet Jesus and become a follower of him?
Yeah, so at that moment when I was working in my father's garden, um, I was I was paid at the evening each day, and I was getting my beers and or whatever after. So I decided to go to the stadium where I used to play,
Yeah.
and I met my ex-teammate who was a Ukrainian international player, and he was playing in Belarus top team. He was actually that year he was his team was qualifying for Champions League,
Wow.
and
That's a big deal for you, not soccer players. The Champions League's a big tournament.
yeah, yeah. So and even to be on the
Yeah.
qualifiers, it's already a big achievement. So he's training wearing the GPS trackers, and I stopped him and like, oh, that's you, like, and he jokes like, oh, it looks like you're not playing soccer anymore, and
Right. Right.
I'm like, okay, and
Another dig.
another dig into, I'm like, yeah, right, and I know his story. He was from the household where both parents drinking.
Hmm.
We barely see him in the school, or rather during the lunchtime, so he could eat something. But he was so gifted. And then I started like right away to ask how's the parents. He's saying because I didn't see them for a while, and
Sure.
he's like, oh, they finishing the rehab, so like they're not drinking. Yeah, they sober for
Wow.
almost 3 months. And like, how's your sister? But she was a little bit troubled kid. Oh, she's about to get married, and I'm like, how's your marriage going? Like, oh, we're waiting for the son, and I'm
Wow.
like, how's money wise? Is it profitable to be? Oh, yeah, like I purchased some properties already, and like, tell me if there is one thing, how all this success, where this success comes from, and he's telling that answer just knocked me down completely. He tells me there is living God who loves you personally,
Wow.
and I'm like, can you tell me more? He said, yeah, during the dinner I need to practice, but I want to invite you to the dinner. And
Wow.
when he invited me later that day to the dinner, we prayed together. And I went back home and I opened the Testament and read entire
Wow.
book. And that it used to be that book for me.
Hmm.
I couldn't understand anything. That night, everything was about me and my life and personal. So like something happened that
Yeah.
day.
Wow.
So I became a believer that night.
So that's the power of person whose life had been transformed
Yeah.
by coming to know who Jesus is. It seemed to have changed his whole life. Now,
Yes.
his parents got sober, his sister seemed to be doing well. Him and his wife were expecting a baby boy. And, God doesn't always promise that things will go easy, but when you surrender to him and let him be in control, that can affect everything else.
Yeah.
And because of his willingness to just share a quick little, I met Jesus, I'll tell you how to do it. Look what it did in your life.
Right.
That's so powerful, our testimony. Power
Yes.
of a testimony is something that can be
And
life-changing.
so simple, like
Mhm.
nothing sophisticated. He's not a preacher. He's
Right.
not well educated.
Yeah.
He's just pure heart.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you said how old were you at that point when you met
So
Jesus?
I was 22 years
Okay.
old.
Had you met Julia yet? Julia is his wife, for those of you that don't know.
Yeah. So at that moment, yeah, we knew each other,
Okay.
but Julia seems to me such a good girl,
Hmm.
and I was a mess,
Yeah.
so I didn't want to be much around her,
Right.
like because I've been in other relations before, and I was a not good
Sure.
guy,
Sure.
so and I didn't want to um hurt her.
Yep.
So and at the same time, like I was attracted to her. So
Sure.
uh, she at that moment, at that particular moment, she was about to go back to France where she was finishing her program, and she told me that she's gonna stay.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, good for you. And after my conversation with my friend, I started to pray for God giving me
Mm.
a wife.
Yeah.
And in 6 months, Julia returned from France and texted to me.
Wow.
So, and I'm like, okay, this is my
That's,
future wife.
that's right.
So
Wow.
that's how it,
And here we are. And
yeah,
it worked out. Um, so now looking back, right? Like it's got to be still frustrating at times to see how close you were from your sport. You know, you were right there and it ended up not working out. And
yeah.
then you thought you're going to make it into the State Department and it didn't work out. But now look at you. You have an opportunity now to serve. This is the second or third camp that you've helped me run. And now you're transforming lives for the gospel, all because you didn't end up becoming a professional soccer player. Not to say
Yeah.
you might not have met Jesus, but how would you look at how your life ended up coming into being versus how you thought it would be when you were 16? And what would you say about the difference?
No, like it's it requires, the walk with Jesus requires faith,
Mm,
right? And we need to. I always looked at this as a training camp. So like you need to make an effort in believing the promises in the book.
that's right.
And when I read Bible, and it obviously I still read it, trying as much as possible.
Sure.
So there are many promises for our life that God will turn all our failures in our strengths and victories. And I was, okay, what is my part in this? So
Mm,
obviously to believe and figure out the purpose,
yeah.
why I'm here. So that took me a while. I started to do the ministry. I think on my first year of believing in Jesus, I like, okay, go all in.
Yeah.
And but there were like stumbles on the passes way when we moved to US. That was a, I think, breaking point for me. And if I want to stay here, how can I be useful for this society? How
Yeah.
can I merge and not just be another immigrant in living in Brooklyn,
Hmm.
but serve the community? And I figure out that, like, okay, I think I know soccer
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty
I
good.
would say.
So uh, God, when I made the decision to try being involved in training young kids first, God started to use me, and He resurrected my dream being involved in sports. And now it's difficult for me to say that I have a job. I just do what I love the
That's right.
most, and I'm trying to reflect God goodness,
Mm,
His mercy, His grace, yeah, to my trainees.
yeah. And it sounds like the practical takeaway, right? For those of you who are listening and maybe you've suffered a loss, maybe you've put your faith and hope in something that you do, whether it's soccer, whether it's your career, whether it's the job you want to have someday, or maybe a relationship. Those are all things that can fade, but God only requires us to trust. And if we
Yeah,
trust God and we put our focus where it needs to be, which is on the things that He has for us, which are, like you said, His grace, His mercy, the promises that He has for us, a lot of times He can use those passions that we have as a way to serve Him. So
absolutely.
it's just an encouragement to those of you who are listening, and maybe you hear on the locker room, you hear some of the exciting things that we get to do in FCA using sports and using our platform to reach coaches and athletes for Jesus. And maybe that's something you might want to be involved with someday. And God has given you that passion for sport, or given you that passion to share his vision with the world, then you want to reach souls for Jesus. And we just want to encourage you that it starts by making sure that you know where you stand with the Lord.
Yep,
And when you have that relationship with Him, trusting in those promises that He gives us, that we can be used for Him.
absolutely.
So, well, I just want to thank Artem so much. Thank you so much for taking some
Thank you.
time and meeting with us and chatting with us.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you all who will watch. And
Yeah. Any parting shots or any things you want to leave with our listeners? Maybe something you got going on exciting or
the walk with Jesus is always exciting. So
Mm,
we are working on bringing Brooklyn kids here to Valley
that's right.
in upstate, and I don't know, just to share what God is doing to our life to as many kids as possible.
I love that.
Right. So that's always exciting.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much.
Thank you.
I'm so glad we
Yeah.
connected and I'm so glad you're able to jump on this podcast. So tune in as always. New episodes drop every Tuesday, and we'll see you next time. I think you'll like what we have for you next with Vincenzo. Bye, guys.